entitled Preparing to Make a Difference, and today we're going to finish strong. That's what this message is about. It's about us finishing strong. It's difficult to take that first step, but it's also difficult to take that last step because there's so much resistance, so much opposition. But I want us to be a group of people that finish strong no matter what the opposition is. And so we're going to pick up where we left off at last week. We're looking at the story in the book of Nehemiah. It's 444 BC. And King Artaxerxes is the one that's running the show. He is like a world superpower. He is the king of Persia. I put this up here because last week I was a little bit off on this. I thought it was Cyrus the Great, and I hate being wrong, especially when it comes to things from the Bible. I want to make sure that I give you guys solid information, and so I thought it would be good for me to put this up here today. 444 BC, King Artaxerxes is the guy that's running the show. God's people, Israel, the nation of Israel, they are in a lot of trouble. And they're in trouble because they disobeyed God. God told them that if you disobey me, judgment is going to come. There are going to be consequences to you disobeying me. They disobeyed God and they went into exile. What that means is that they were under the control of a pagan nation. The Nebuchadnezzar and his guys, the Babylonians, they came in and they completely destroyed Judah. They completely destroyed Jerusalem. They destroyed the temple, they destroyed the walls, and then some time after that, a group of people went into Jerusalem and rebuilt the temple, but the walls were torn down. And so that leads us to our story that we've been looking at, the story of Nehemiah. There was a group of people that came from Jerusalem to where Nehemiah was. Nehemiah inquired to them about the condition of Jerusalem. He wanted to know what was going on in Jerusalem. His brother was a part of the group that came, and they told him that Jerusalem was in shambles, that the temple wasn't built right, that the walls had been torn down, that there was no protection, there was no military power. Spiritually, they were at a moral low. They were in a bad situation, and this breaks Nehemiah's heart. And so this is where Nehemiah's burden comes from. He gets this burden. God places this burden on his heart to go back to Jerusalem to rebuild the wall. Nehemiah approaches King Artaxerxes and he tells them that he wants to go back to his hometown to rebuild the wall. To Nehemiah's surprise, Artaxerxes grants Nehemiah's request. He says, I can do even better than that. I will make you governor. Nehemiah gets all of the things that he needs to accomplish the task that he has set out to accomplish. Nehemiah is a cupbearer. He's not a king, he's not a warrior, he's not a prophet, he's not a priest, he's a cupbearer. A cupbearer was a person that sipped the wine, or sipped the drink before the king sipped the wine or sipped the drink, because in those days there were no term limits. And so the only way that you can get rid of the king is to kill the king or for him to die. And so they had these cupbearers that would taste the wine or taste the drink before the king would taste the wine or taste the drink. And so Nehemiah was a cupbearer. He was just an ordinary man, but dig this. Nehemiah changed his world in 52 days. Wow. Can you believe that? He changed his world in 52 days. And you know, originally when I looked at Nehemiah, I was only going to preach one message from the book of Nehemiah. My game plan was to go and find these people who made a difference in the Old Testament and the New Testament. And I was going to do different characters. But when I got on Nehemiah, I just got stuck on him. Because his story is absolutely amazing. The more I dug in, the more I liked it, because Nehemiah was an ordinary man just like me. I didn't even graduate from high school, so Nehemiah gives hope to ordinary people just like me, right? He was an underdog. He was an underdog. And I'm sure everybody in this room understands what it means to be an underdog. Last week I mentioned Drake's song, his claim to fame song. Started from the bottom, now we're here, right? Started from the bottom, now we're here. And there's no doubt that Drake is at the top of his game right now. I mean, there's nobody bigger than Drake in hip-hop right now. But Drake said started from the bottom, now we're here, but he didn't really give us details on how to get from the bottom to here, right? He didn't give us a lot of details, and we need more details because I told you guys last week it's not a matter of stepping into an elevator, pressing a button, and easing your way up to the penthouse floor. That's not how it works from getting from the bottom to here. So Drake didn't give us a lot of details, but Nehemiah did give us details. That's why I like Nehemiah. I mean, in this book, we find details, clear details, that each one of us in this room, no matter what level you're at in life, each one of us in this room can apply the details that Nehemiah applied, and we can get from the bottom to the top. We can make changes in our lives just by following Nehemiah's game plan. What did Nehemiah do? Why was Nehemiah successful? How was he able to change his world in 52 days? Nehemiah gives us 5 clues, and these were the clues that we've been looking at for the whole duration of this series. Number 1, Nehemiah knew who he was and what God called him to do. He didn't jump out there and start making these major life decisions before he got this part narrowed down. Look, I understand that everybody that comes to church does not believe in God, right? And you don't have to buy into this, but I just want to share with you Nehemiah's game plan and what worked for him. And I'm going to tell you, it's worked for me and it's worked for countless other people. Nehemiah, before he made any major moves, he got this part clear. He knew who he was, and he knew what God called him to do. There are people who are jumping out there in these relationships. You're making babies with people that you're not compatible with. Why? Because you started moving before you had this part understood. Second thing that Nehemiah did that made him successful and enabled him to change his world in 52 days was he was committed to character development and personal growth. He was committed to character development and personal growth. You are not going to progress to the next level and be able to sustain that if you are not committed to character development and personal growth. And remember, I told you guys, nobody can do this for you. Nobody can grow for you. Nobody can commit to character development for you. Third thing that Nehemiah did was he took time to develop a plan. Okay. Some people don't want to plan. You're just too lazy. I mean, some people they know how to move physically, but they're just lazy when it comes to using their brains. Nehemiah took time to develop a plan. Here's the thing. A lot of people, they don't even realize that they're lost because they don't know where they're going in the first place. It's impossible to know whether or not you're lost if you don't know where you're going to start with. And so a lot of people are just wandering around aimlessly because they do not have a plan. The fourth thing that Nehemiah did was he did his homework. He did his homework. When Nehemiah went to the king granted his request. Nehemiah went to Jerusalem and he rode around on his horse to observe what was going on with Jerusalem, to observe what are the things that he needs to accomplish, what it is that he's setting out to accomplish. Many of you, you've never done your homework. You don't know what it takes to save money. You don't know what it takes to build up your credit. You don't know what it takes to be in a healthy relationship because you haven't done your homework. Nehemiah did his homework. And then the fifth thing that Nehemiah did that enabled him to change his world in 52 days was that Nehemiah inspired other people to support him. You cannot do this thing on your own. You need some support. You need some accountability. God did not create you to go through life on your own. God created you to go through life with other people who are going in the same direction as you. But you have to inspire other people to support you. And so that was Nehemiah. But my question to you is, what is God calling you to do in this season of your life? This is so important. What is God calling you to do in this season of your life? Forget about the last ship that you missed. Forget about the last season that you messed up. Let's focus on this season right here. What is God calling you to do in this season of your life? Last week I gave you guys some ideas. A lot of stuff. We're not going to go through all of them. But maybe God is calling you to stack your chips. You know, you need to save some money for a purchase. You know, you want to buy a home, you want to buy a car, you want to pay for school. Maybe God is calling you during this season of your life to stack your chips. Maybe He's calling you to lose some weight. Come on now. We all can shed a pound or two. You know how we like to eat. Maybe God is calling you to lose some weight during this season of your life. Look, maybe God is calling you to stop drinking so much. I'm not gonna be dogmatic about the drinking thing, right? Because I know some good, solid Christian people that have a sip every now and then. Right. And I know for sure they solid Christians, right? So I'm not going to be dogmatic when it comes to drinking, but maybe God is telling you to ease up a little bit. Right? Or perhaps He's telling you to work on your relationship with your children, right? I mean, sometimes it can be overwhelming. You look at a list like this outlined to some of you guys, when you looked at this last week, you're like, man, I need to work on all of that. I see about 6 or 7 things up there that I need to work on. And so with all of those things that I need to work on, where do I begin? I told you guys, the hardest step sometimes is that first step. And sometimes you can be just so overwhelmed with choices that you don't know where to begin. You ever been to those restaurants and they got the menus with all of the things that you can choose from? And you're like, man, I got so much stuff on here, I don't know what to choose. And then you get confused. And what I've learned is confused people do nothing. Confused people make bad choices. And so how can we narrow this thing down? We need to narrow this thing down. When Nehemiah went to Jerusalem, there were many things that Nehemiah could have done. Many things, right? I mean, the economy was in shambles. They had no military. Morally, spiritually, they were at a very, very low. They had no leadership structure whatsoever. So there were many things that Nehemiah could have done. But when Nehemiah got there, Nehemiah said this. He said, this is me paraphrasing. He says, if I don't get anything else done, there's one thing that I must do. And that is rebuild this wall. If I don't get anything else done, there's one thing that I must do, and that is rebuild this wall. He didn't get caught up with all of the other things that needed to be done. He just lasered in with his focus, and he said, I must rebuild this wall. And so for us, we have to narrow this thing down. Even though you have many issues just like me, we got to learn how to focus on one issue at a time. Let's focus on one issue at a time. And we got to look at what is the one thing that I can do that would impact everything or impact the most. And we got to narrow this thing down. And so what we have to do is we have to look at what we must do. All right? And so I'm going to give you guys some things that kind of, steer you in the right direction. Maybe it's a habit that you must break. There's some things that you can do because you want to do them, but we're talking about things that you must do. Maybe there's a habit that you must break. Maybe there's a goal that you must accomplish. If you don't get anything else done, you must accomplish this goal. Or maybe there's a project that you must complete. We're so busy. You know, we think that busy equals productive, but I'm telling you, busy doesn't equal productive. And so we have all of these projects that we start, but we don't complete them. Maybe it's a project that you must complete. Or maybe there's a relationship that you must restore. Maybe a parent-child relationship, a husband-wife relationship, whatever. Maybe a best friend relationship, a sibling relationship, but there's a relationship that you must restore, or maybe there's a relationship that you must end.
All right.
You know, everybody's telling you that he's no good. Everybody's telling you that she's sleeping around, but you are in love. You done got sprung down. You done went a little too far. Nose wide open. But something is telling you in your mind that you need to end this thing. And so maybe it's a relationship that you must end, or a debt that you must retire. There's nothing pleasurable or peaceful about walking around and living life with a whole bunch of debt. And so what is it that you must do? Forget about the things that you want to do or that you could do, but narrow this thing down to what you must do. And I want to reiterate this. I said this last week. Whenever you make up your mind to do what God called you to do, expect opposition. Come on, somebody. Whenever you make up your mind to do what God called you to do, last week I said, whenever you make up your mind to do the right thing, right, I want it to be mild for those who might not believe in God, but I'm going to hold this thing in. Whenever you make up your mind to do what God called you to do, expect opposition. And so I want to share with you a little bit about background about two other characters. This is Nehemiah's opposition. These were two warlords, right? One of them name was Sanballat, the other one name was Tobiah. They were Nehemiah's opposition. And the reason why, one of the main reasons why they opposed Nehemiah doing what God called him to do was because they were benefiting from Jerusalem remaining in shambles. As long as those walls were down, they had the freedom to come in and out of Jerusalem anytime that they wanted to. They could steal from their crops. They can have the pick of the land. And so they did not want these walls, this wall to be rebuilt because it represented something that would stop them from benefiting from Jerusalem. And just like with Nehemiah and what he was doing, it's the same thing with you. When you make up your mind to move forward with what God called you to do, expect people to stop you, especially those who are benefiting from you remaining the same. There are some people who don't want to see you elevate. There are some people who would rather see you remain at the bottom because they benefit from you remaining at the bottom. Sanballat and Tobiah were eating from the Jews' plate, so they didn't want them walls to be rebuilt. And so let's jump back into our story. Nehemiah chapter 6, verse 1. You can follow along in your Bible, or you can follow along with the words on the screen. But it reads as follows: When word came to Sanballat, Tobiah, Geshem the Arab, and the rest of our enemies, that I had rebuilt the wall, and not a gap was left in it. Somebody say, not a gap was left in it. This is important. I want you to hold on to that thought, right? Rebuild the wall, not a gap was left in it. Pause just for a moment. When you start moving in the right direction, the direction that God wants you to move in, word gets out. People will find out about it. Your enemies will find out about it. Your haters will find out about it. But you got to keep moving forward anyway. And so though they were moving forward, not a gap left in the wall, though up to that time I had not set the doors on the gates. And so it wasn't completed. It was almost completed. Almost completed is not completed. Many of us have projects that are almost done that we've walked away from 3 years ago. Almost completed is not completed. Verse 2, Sanballat and Geshem sent me this message. All right, here's the message. Come, let us meet together in one of the villages on the plain of Ono. Now, another pause. If somebody invites you to a meeting at a place called Ono, you say, Ono. Right? Come, let us meet together. Let's break bread together. Let's chop it up over at Ono. Let's put a plan together over at Ono. Your response is, oh no, y'all got it. Look, he goes on to say, but they were scheming to harm me. They made it seem like it was innocent. The image is this. I want you to capture this image in your head. Nehemiah is up on the wall. He's doing what God called him to do. These warlords send a messenger, and while Nehemiah is up on the wall, they come and they shake the ladder. Nehemiah, Nehemiah, Nehemiah. And Nehemiah's up there doing what God called him to do, right? Nehemiah, let's get together and meet. Nehemiah saw right through it, because when you're going in the direction that God called you to go in, you'll recognize the enemy's tactics. They will become crystal clear, right? When you were on crystal meth, you couldn't see it. But the minute God opens your eyes, you can see things that you never saw before. Nehemiah recognized that they were trying to harm him. In fact, they were trying to kill him, right? What did Nehemiah? The story says, there was no gaps in the wall. No gaps in the wall represents breach, right? There were no breaches in his wall. Some of us need to pay attention to the breaches in our wall. Somebody know what I'm talking about. Some of you, if you don't complete the assignment or give attention to a breach in your wall, it could cost you your life. It's a health issue, right? It's a health issue. If you don't pay attention to the breach in your wall and start eating better and start exercising, it will harm you. For some of you, it's a relationship. If you don't pay attention to the breach in your wall, it can kill your relationship with your children, with your grandchildren, with your mate. A breach in your wall. It says Nehemiah, when he was working, there was not a breach in his wall, but he was not finished. And these warlords are trying to get him to come down off of the wall. The closer you get to the finish line, the more stronger the opposition is going to get. That's a sign that you're going in the right direction, because the opposition gets intense as you get close to the finish line.
Great job.
And so the enemy, your enemy, right? You can call it a person. We crazy Christians believe that there is a devil, right? Satan is our enemy, and he can use people. He can use people. And so just kind of go with us today. Just for a moment. You can throw it all out the door when you leave. But just for a moment, just kind of roll with me. Your enemy, Satan, will use people as an opposition to discourage you. He wants to discourage you. Why? Because when people get discouraged, they fall off the wall. They don't complete what God called them to do. And so Satan will use people to discourage you. And people will try to discourage you in all types of ways. Let's look at Nehemiah's enemies and how they tried to discourage him. Verse 5, it says, "It is reported among the nations." And Geshem says, it's true, that you and the Jews are plotting to revolt. This is them talking to Nehemiah. They send an open letter, right? It's an open letter. So it would be like somebody atting you on Twitter. They mentioned him on Twitter so that everybody can see what they were saying about him. And what they were saying was that Nehemiah wasn't just about rebuilding the wall, that it was actually a plot, that they were trying to revolt against Artaxerxes, who allowed Nehemiah to go back and build the wall in the first place. And so they're trying to intimidate them because the whole ultimate goal is to discourage them. And so they're using an intimidation tactic. And it says, and therefore you are rebuilding the wall. Moreover, there's more. Moreover, according to these reports, you are about to become their king and have even appointed prophets to make this proclamation about you in Jerusalem. Look, there's a king in Judah. Now this report will go back to the king, so come, let us meet together. He's determined to get Nehemiah in. Oh no. He is not giving up on getting Nehemiah off of that wall. He does not want Nehemiah to finish that wall. And so he's trying to intimidate them. He's saying, look, we're going to get this rumor out about you. People will spread rumors about you. I told you last week. It happens to the best and the worst of us. If you start moving in the direction that God called you to move in, expect for people to spread rumors about you. They spread rumors about Nehemiah. Nehemiah, look, he saw right through it. Watch this. Verse 9. They were all trying to frighten us, thinking, look, he recognized what they were thinking. The incredible discernment that you get when you're moving in the direction that God called you to move in. Look what he said. They were thinking their hands will get too weak for the work. And it will not be what? Completed. The enemy, your enemy Satan, does not want you to complete that assignment. He wants you to remain in debt. He wants you to remain fat and out of shape. He wants you to remain in bad relationships. He does not want you to complete that assignment. Oh my goodness. I love this book. I love this book. But they don't stop. They don't stop. They even go even further by trying to discredit his character, because that's what your enemy will do when you're moving forward and they're trying to get you off of that wall. Your enemy, Satan, will use people to discredit your character. Verse 10, one day I went to the house of Shemaiah, son of Delaiah. This is one of the Jews. These people then got so determined to work their way in to get into the inner circle, Nehemiah's inner circle, the son of Mehetabel, who was shut in at his home. He said, look, let us meet in the house of God, inside the temple, and let us close the temple doors, because men are coming to kill you. By night they are coming to kill you. In other words, Nehemiah, you need to run to the temple for safety. They're trying to take your life. They didn't work their way on the inside, and they got to one of Nehemiah's inside people. Keep this in mind. Everybody on your team is not as solid as you think they are. If I can keep it 100, if I can keep it 100 just for a moment, if I can keep it 100 just for a moment, even people that you grew up with, you went to school with for a long time, they know your mama, they know your daddy, you even call their mama mama. They're not as solid as you think they are. He had worked his way in on the inside, and this is a priest. Not everybody that's standing behind the pulpit is giving you valuable information. I don't know where in the world that came from. I don't know where that came from. It's not a part of my notes. The Lord just gave it to me right now. Not everybody that has the tag name Bishop is giving you the truth. Not everybody that has the tag name Doctor is giving you the truth. You got to search for yourself. You got to have a relationship with God for yourself. But Nehemiah saw right through it. Because when you're going in the direction that God called you to go in, He's going to give you incredible discernment. Look at what Nehemiah said. Verse 11. But I said, should a man like me run away? Or should someone like me go into the temple to save his life? I will not go. He's determined. Nehemiah is focused. He's not allowing the intimidation. He's not allowing the tactics of his enemies to defeat him. He's not allowing the tactics of his enemies to get him off of that wall. I want to share something with you guys. Incredible things happen when you go in the direction that God sends you in. He will remind you, or He will point out to you people that don't belong in your life. And He will send people who do belong in your life. True story. Over 20 years ago, shortly after my stint in the hood, I'm trying to break away from the hood life, right? I was born in the hood. Nobody knows adversity like I know adversity, right? Pop sold drugs, mom used drugs, poor, we stayed in the projects. We stayed, people say, what school you went to? All right, you got a minute for me to run them down to you? I've been to so many schools, I've lost count. But I decided that I wanted something better for my life than the hood, right? Yeah. Because that's what God was calling me to do. That's what God was calling me to do. And so as you start to move forward in the direction that God calls you to move in, He starts to bring pieces together in your life. Amazing. It's amazing. Sometimes you don't see it until you look back. Like right when it's happening, you don't even realize it, right? You look back and you're like, dang, I almost missed that person. God brought that person into my life, and that person played a significant role in my life. Well, over 20 years ago, when I decided that I wanted to break away from the streets and start making legal money, I got involved with payphones, public telephones. And I started making money with public telephones. One of the first people, I consider this person to be a mentor, one of the first people or the first person that gave me an opportunity. A lot of people just need an opportunity. Gave me an opportunity, right, to make money legally. The first $1,000 that I ever got legally was a man by the name of Steve Brooks. He brought him into my life. And this guy mentored me and he poured into me. And at the time, I didn't even realize that was happening until I looked back over my life. And then over 20 years later, I'm on the internet, I'm on Facebook, and I see this picture, and his name is Steve Brooks. I'm like, okay, I wonder if this is him. He looked a little bit different. Head then got a little fatter. Look a little different, right? Is this Steve Brooks? And so I sent him a message, and I said, is this Steve Brooks from Landmark Tel? And he responded back, yes, sir. Guess what? He's in the house worshiping with us today. He's in the house worshiping with us today. That's God. But there's more. We talking, we kind of catching up a little bit over the phone. What do you do? Come to find out, he's involved with development. You see that? I didn't do that. I didn't do that. The only thing I did was I was committed to going in the direction that God called me to go in. But there is more. You guys know how I feel about Ryder. We connected at the hip. That's my bro. He's another one that God sent into my life, right? Him and Ryder met each other over 17 years ago. Nobody was God. I didn't do that. I promise you. I didn't do that truth. I didn't do that. That was God who did that. I don't know what God has planned for this chapter of our lives, this season of our lives, but I would encourage both of them to stay committed to whatever it is that God has called for them to do, and He will cause the chips to fall where they were. So look at Nehemiah's incredible discernment. He says in verse 12, I realized that God had not sent him, that God had not sent this priest, that God had not sent this person that was giving him this bad advice. I realized, that's that incredible discernment, right? Incredible discernment. He says, I realized that God had not sent him, but that he had prophesied against me, false prophecy. False prophecy. There are a lot of it going on the radio, on the internet, on TV. Everybody that says God is not from God. He says, I realized that he had prophesied against me. Why? Because Tobiah and Sanballat had hired him. Hired holy people. There's some hired holy people out there. You got to be careful, church. That's why I encourage people all the time. Be Bereans. Search the scriptures for yourself to make sure that what I'm telling you is the truth. Because I'm a mere human being and I can get up here and I can twist the word of God too, so you have to be Bereans and search for yourself. He said they had hired him for what? To intimidate me so that the word that I would commit a sin by doing this. The sin of running away from what God called him to do. That's a sin. You're not doing what God called you to do. That's a sin. He said, and then they would give me a bad name to discredit me. Character assassination. When you're moving forward in the direction that God has called you to move in, people will assassinate your character. Character assassination. Birds of a feather flock together.
Praise God.
There's a saying, misery loves company. But you don't have to be neither one. See, some of y'all gonna figure that out later. You're gonna think about that in the car. Misery loves company, but you don't have to be neither one of them. And so what was Nehemiah's game plan? Let's see if we can get this, because Drake didn't leave us any clues, but Nehemiah did. What did Nehemiah do in the face of this opposition? People trying to discourage him. People trying to discredit his character. What did he do? How did he respond? I told you guys last week, you got to remember this. He had this move, this cold move. Nehemiah had a cold move. He did this. He took it to God. And he got back on his dribble. That's what he did. You got to remember that from last week? He took it to God and he got back on his dribble. Guess what you need to do when people come against you? When you experience opposition, when you just don't feel like it, what should you do? You need to take it to God and get back on your dribble. I'm telling you, opposition is going to come. It's a part of life. It never goes away. Just like the young man who was carrying the guy on his back, he had to get to the finish line, but he said, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts. When it hurts, you take it to God and you get back on your dribble. That is the game plan. It's just a pivot. I take it to God, I get back on my dribble. No pity parties. No pity parties. My father wasn't in the home. We grew up poor. If you have a good excuse, don't use it. Kill the excuses. What did Nehemiah do? He took it to God. He got back on his dribble. Look at this. He says, but I prayed. He said, but I prayed. That's what it means to take it to God. You need to learn how to pray. He says, but I pray. What did he pray? Strengthen my hands. Why did he ask God to strengthen his hands? Because his hands were getting weak. You can be real with God. You can keep it 100 with God. I'm thinking about giving up, God. I need you to strengthen me. He took it to God. And he got back on his dribble. That's what Nehemiah did. You got to learn how to take it to God and get back on your dribble. Look at this prayer that Nehemiah prayed in verse 14. He says, remember Tobiah. He's calling off his enemy. He says, remember Tobiah and Sanballat, my God, because of what they have done. Remember also the prophet Noadiah, and how she and the rest of the prophets have been trying to intimidate me. You don't need to deal with your enemies. The Bible teaches us if we hold our peace, God will fight our battle. reason why you have a breach in your wall is because you allow the enemy to distract you. And you so focused on getting revenge and paying them back that your wall is getting ready to fall down. You totally off of the assignment that God has called for you to do because you're trying to get revenge because she hurt you.
Have mercy, have mercy.
I know it hurts. I'm not trying to be cavalier about anybody's pain. I know it hurts. If somebody's unfaithful to you, it hurts. If somebody you trust steals from you, it hurts. But you cannot dwell on it. You have to learn how to take it to God.
Yeah.
And get back on your dribble. You cannot allow anything to take you off of your dribble. Verse 15. So the wall was completed on the 25th of Elul in 52 days. In 52 days. If Nehemiah can change his world in 52 days, you can stop smoking in 52 days. Nehemiah changed his world. If Nehemiah can change his world in 52 days, you can get out of debt. If Nehemiah can change his world in 52 days, you can learn how to read. No excuses. No excuses. No excuses. Don't allow the enemy to distract you. When opposition comes your way, take it to God and get back on your dribble. And so here's our climatic verse. This is, if you don't get anything else out of this, I want you to get this. The number one tactic, I told you guys last week, the number one tactic that the enemy uses to try to defeat us and discourage us and to get us away from what God has called for us to do is distraction.
Distraction.
Yes.
That's his number one tool.
Wow.
I told you guys last week, many of you have not been defeated, you've just been distracted. And some of you have been distracted for far too long. You know what God has called you to do. You don't need me to tell you. You already know. In fact, you already started it, but you just did not complete it. And so how do we finish strong? We finish strong by applying this verse right here. I'm praying that this verse will absolutely transform your life, because this verse right here has transformed my life. You have to stay focused. So remember, they're trying to get Nehemiah off that wall. They're trying to get him to meet them at Ono. They tried to get him to run to the temple for safety. They tried so many things. In fact, the Bible says that they came with the same message 4 times. 4 times, same message. Come, let's meet in Ono. Come, let's meet in Ono. Look at how Nehemiah responded. I want you to get this. Nehemiah said, I sent a message to them saying, I'm doing a great work, but I cannot come back. Nehemiah said, look, I'm doing a great work right here, right now, and I cannot come down. Yeah, I know it'll be fun, but I cannot come down. Sounds like a really good business opportunity, but I cannot come down. You're cute, but I cannot come down. I'm doing a great work right here, right now, and I cannot come down. Some of us have finished projects. Some of us, we want the beautiful homes, we want the beautiful cars. Wouldn't it be nice to have a beautiful home like this, right? Nice, beautiful dream home like this, nice car like this. But this is what we're working with. We're working with halfway done stuff, right? See, that house that you saw that was beautiful, it started off looking like that. Go back to that other slide. It was at one point in time looking like that. Imagine if the builders would have allowed someone to distract them for what they were called to do. They would have never, the beautiful home would have never been realized, right? And then the car. Beautiful, beautiful car, but it used to look like that. That's a Tesla. That's the kind of car my wife owns. But that right there is of no value right there, because she can't drive that car right there. It's not complete. Somebody needs to finish that car. Many of you have things that are not finished. If you finished it, it would be beautiful. It would be your dream come true, but you got to finish it. You cannot allow the enemy to distract you.
Right.
You're doing a great work right here, and you cannot come down. But you got to beware of the time thug. The time thug wants to rob you of your time. You got to beware of the time thug. There are only 24 hours in a day. Guess what? Bill Gates has 24 hours. He has 24 hours, just like you. Warren Buffett has 24 hours. Elon Musk has 24 hours. Drake has 24 hours, just like you. Nobody gets 24 and a half. Nobody gets 26. We all have 24 hours. What are you doing with your 24 hours? Sometimes playing a video game is pulling you off the wall.
Amen.
Sometimes hanging with old girl is pulling you off the wall. Sometimes going to the party and turning up is pulling you off the wall. Met a young man a couple of weeks ago, very bright, intelligent young man, was coming from the club. We got in a conversation. I love conversating with people, just kind of getting background on their life. And this young man stayed out in Orange County in a nice, beautiful neighborhood. And he said he had finished college. We started talking about distractions. He said, yeah, I finished college, but it took me 10 years to do it. I could have did it in 3, but it took me 10. He said, because I was distracted. I said, what about right now? He said, I'm still a little bit distracted because I like to party. He says, the strange thing is, some of the people that I party with, they doing okay, they doing good in life. And I said, look, I'm going to tell her the same thing I'm getting ready to tell you. There's nothing wrong with partying, but you need to plan your party. See, the people in his life that's doing all right partying, that's a part of their schedule, right? They've already penciled that in their schedule. And the next day, they're going to get right back up and get on their dribble. But you, look, they just called you out the clear blue. They had it planned. You didn't have it planned. And you let them just suck you in because you did not have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you'll become part of somebody else's plan. I'm telling you the truth. I'm just keeping it 100.
Yes.
Took him 10 years to do what he could have did in 3 years. You got to beware of the time ballot. Verse 2, it says, Sanballat and Geshem sent message to me, come, let us meet together in one of the villages in the plain of Ono. Nehemiah responded, I'm doing a great work and I cannot come down. Look, and then he says, why should the work stop while I leave it and come down to you? What does me coming down to you have to do with the great work that God called me to do? Why should I stop and come down and hang with you? Why should I stop doing what God called me to do in this season of my life, to build a relationship with my children, to build a relationship with my wife? Why should I stop doing what God called me to do during this season of my life, to come down and meet with you? You know, I said, no. I'm not falling for that. I don't care how many times you knock. I don't care how loud you get. I don't care about the notifications. You got to be careful with the notifications on those cell phones. I mean, notifications, that's allowing people access to us 24/7. Notifications, notifications, notifications. I tested it this week. I said, since I'm preaching this, I want to see what type of distractions come, right, when you're trying to remain focused. What are some of the distractions? And I left my phone right there, and I'm trying to work on my message. I'm trying to work on the things that God called me to do at that point in time. And the distractions started coming. The phone started ringing. Text messages started coming through. I started seeing those little symbols on the top of the cell phone that says, you got a Facebook message, you got a Twitter message, you got that message. I'm telling you, the notifications can be a tool of the enemy to get you off of that wall. I'm doing a great work. You might have to turn that cell phone off because I'm doing a great work right here. Why should I stop doing what God called me to do to answer a Facebook notification?
Great.
Why should I stop doing what God called me to do to answer a text message?
Yeah.
I can get back to that when I'm finished doing what God called me to do. And so, as I conclude, I want to share two things that absolutely changed my life. Two things that absolutely changed my life. Next to the Bible, these two authors have been the most influential in my life. One of them is a man by the name of Zig Ziglar. Some of you guys have heard of Zig Ziglar. The other one is a man by the name of Stephen Covey. Love these guys. These guys are brilliant. I don't care how many new guys come around. All of them get their stuff from these two guys right here. These guys are brilliant. So I want to share with you two diagrams that both of these guys created. I tailored one of them, customized one of them just a little bit because this is a church to help you to see. These are things right here that we need to focus on. This is Zig Ziglar's Wheel of Life. And it shows the important things that we need to give attention to. That if we neglect any of these things right here, there's a breach in our wall. That you shouldn't do it occasionally, but you need to do this on a consistent, ongoing basis. Giving attention to each one of these. The reason why I put the 3G in the middle is because 3G represents our discipleship process. That we have a discipleship process that helps you with each one of these. Family, spiritual, physical, intellectual, financial, career, and social. But you need to commit to our discipleship process. That's committing to character development and personal growth. The other one is Stephen Covey's 4 quadrants. Stephen Covey says there are 4 ways that you can use working or use your time. 4 quadrants. Important, not important, urgent, not urgent. Right? And so most of us, many of us, not most of us, many of us spend our time working on things that are not urgent or not important. And then some of us, because of that, because we spend so much time working on things that are not important and not urgent, it pushes our back against the wall, and then we end up in this quadrant, where we're working on things that are important and urgent. You're almost there. You're almost there. Stephen Covey says the best quadrant to spend your time in is working on things that are important but not urgent. Important, but not urgent. Why? Because if it's urgent and important, you're working with a lot of stress. And that's why people end up getting sick. That's why people end up getting high blood pressure, because they're working with their back against the wall. How did that happen? Because they spent so much time on things that are not important and not urgent. And so you don't want to play from behind, because it's stressful. And so these two things right here absolutely changed my life. Now, as I conclude, I'm not a guru in this. I'm a work in progress. But here's what I've discovered based on my homework, based on what I saw from Nehemiah, and based on what I've seen in other people who are successful lives. There are 4 things that you need to finish strong. And with these 4 things, you can accomplish anything that God has called for you to do. Without these 4 things, you can forget it. The first one is discipline. You cannot do it without discipline. Discipline is doing what you need to do when you need to do it, whether you feel like doing it or not. That's discipline. Discipline is saying no to those things that you want to do because you need to work on the things that you need to do. You can't do it without discipline. Second thing is focus. You got to learn how to focus. Nehemiah was focused. We're so distracted. You have to redirect your mind. You have to tell your mind what to do. And so you need to have private disciplines in place to help you to focus. You need to remove all of the distractions. Anything that will get in the way of you focusing, you need to remove it because you have to focus. And then it's going to take determination. You have to be determined. I've never seen anybody accomplish anything worthwhile without determination. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. And the fourth thing, this is the icing on the cake. You need consistency. You need to be consistent. If you hit it long enough, you keep hitting it, you hit it long enough, you're going to see some progress. What did I tell you last week? The best motivation is not somebody in your ear, rah, 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 you can do it, keep going, rah, 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 you can do it. The best motivation is results.
That's right.
As you keep hitting it, and you see the progress, it's going to result in more motivation. That's how Nehemiah did it. That's what Drake didn't tell you. He left that part out. Started from the bottom, now we're here. Drake got from the bottom to here because he was consistent at it. He didn't stop. He did it every day. And if you do a thing consistently, eventually it will become a habit. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
If you do a thing consistently, eventually it will become a habit. All you have to do is just look at the bad habits you developed. It was because you kept on doing something. Over and over and over again, and it became a habit. Start doing that with good habits. So look at the results. This is really what it's all about. This verse right here. This is what it's all about. Verse 16. For all of our enemies, all of our haters, all of our enemies, all of our haters are out there. And all of our enemies, all of our haters, heard about this, heard about what, heard about what. And we got that wall rebuilt. We finished the wall. When they heard about this, all the surrounding nations were afraid and lost their self-confidence. They were afraid and clowning you while you're working. But they're going to respect you when it's done. So you know what you got to do? You got to make them respect you. And the way you make them respect you is you stay on that wall until it's done. Don't you allow anybody to get you off that wall because you're doing a great work. You're doing a great work. You're doing what God called you to do. You're doing a great work. And you cannot come down. Here's why they respected him. Because they realized that this work had been done with the help of our God. That's what it's all about, church. It's all about giving Him glory. He called us to do to give glory to Him. It's all about His glory. If you're willing to give God the credit, He'll keep making you look good. If you're willing to give Him the credit, He'll keep making you look good. You gotta be willing to give Him the credit. And He'll make you look good. All glory, all honor, belongs to our great God and our Savior. I'm doing a great work. I cannot come down. I enjoyed this series. While you're standing, I want everybody to stand up. Let's pray together. You don't remember anything. I don't care what level you're at in life, what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Remember, you're doing a great work. If you're doing a great work, and you cannot come down. Don't let nobody talk you down off that wall. Don't let anybody talk you down. Father, in the name of Jesus, nobody could have done this but you. You knew what we needed to hear, and you knew when we needed to hear it.
Yes, Lord.
All glory and all honor goes to you.
Oh, God, glory, Lord.
We can make a difference. in our home. We can make a difference in the church. We can make a difference in the hood, in the community, in the city, in the world. But we have to learn to first know who we are and what you call for us to do. It starts with you, Lord. And then we need to be committed to personal development, character development, and personal growth. We need to have an action plan, Lord.
Yes, Lord.
We need to do our homework. And we need a team of people, Lord. We can't do this by ourselves.
Sure.
We need to be disciplined. We need to be focused.
Hallelujah.
We need to be determined.
Yes,
And we need
my
to be
God.
consistent.
God.
We're doing a great work. And we cannot come down when distractions come our way, when opposition comes our way. Help these your gathered people to take it to you and get back on their dribble.
Yes, Lord.
Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in your sight. In Jesus' name.
Hallelujah.
Amen.